Good morning from surprisingly rainy San Jose, California. I don't know what's more surprising, that it's raining here on May 28th, 2026, or that it's still morning and I'm actually doing this. So it's actually May 28th for all time zones involved in the 2026 EHE Draft Lottery. I am the commissioner, Kevin Lacey, and I'm happy to have you here today for what is, of course, as always, one of the most exciting events that we hold each and every year, made more exciting when my team, the Carolina Hurricanes, are involved, though I'd rather be in the playoffs. But I digress. Tonight, or I'm used to saying tonight, folks, today we will conduct 2 draws using a weighted lottery system to determine the order of selection for the first 16 picks in the first round of the 2026 EHE Entry Draft. Participants in today's drawing are the teams that did not qualify for the 2026 EHE Stanley Cup playoffs, or the teams that have acquired the first round drafting position of those non-playoff teams. There is a limit on the total number of selections, 10, that a team participating in the draft lottery can move up in the event it wins one of these lottery draws today. Thus, only the top 11 seeded teams are eligible to receive the first overall selection in the 2026 EHE Entry Draft. And only the top 11 teams remaining after the first draw will be eligible to receive the second overall selection, unless the team with the 12th best odds, which coincidentally are the Carolina Hurricanes, the team with the 12th best odds win the first draw, moving up 10 positions to draft second overall. And in that case, the second draw, basically the second overall pick gets locked in, and the second draw determines the third overall pick. This was a revelation that has never occurred previously, but I figured I should mention that. If the team who has the 12th best odds wins, that locks in picks 1 and 2, and thus the second draw would determine the third overall pick. There's only like a 0.2% chance of that actually happening, but especially considering that my own team is the team involved with that pick this year, felt it was good to do a little extra homework on that. So that's an additional thing that's always been in effect, but now I'm bringing it to the forefront. Regardless, the remaining lottery teams that do not win either of the draws and who are not locked into a position as a result of a draw will be assigned first round draft positions based on inverse order of their regular season point totals in 2025-26. Now, there are 4 transactions that everyone should also be aware of. The Toronto Maple Leafs hold the rights to the New Jersey Devils first-round pick in addition to their own first-round pick in the 2025 EHE Entry Draft. The Philadelphia Flyers hold the rights to the Los Angeles Kings first-round pick in addition to their own first-round pick in the 2026 EHE Entry Draft. And lastly, the Colorado Avalanche hold the rights to the Tampa Bay Lightning first-round pick in the 2026 EHE Entry Draft. However, their own first-round pick in this draft is held by the Seattle Kraken. So that is part of the festivities here, but let's show you what you all know and love. Of course, this random number generator will determine two numbers ranging from 1 through 1,000. All numbers were assigned to each team at random by random.org, and the same number assignments will be used in each of the 2 draws. The odds for the first draw and the percentage of numbers assigned to each team are listed on your screen at this moment. The list of the random number lookup chart was posted last weekend on EliteHockeySim.com. So as you see there, if the Anaheim Ducks were to win, that means one of their 185 randomly assigned numbers will have been selected by my number generator here. We're going to run a couple of tests here. These are not official results. 730. 581. We'll do one more, just 339, just to show you the range there. Of course, there was that year 2024 when one of the draws was 2 out of 1,000. So it really does actually use run the gamut of the 1 through 1,000. Now, please be reminded that the draft lottery determines the order of selection for the first round only. For all subsequent rounds, the order reverts to the original order established by inverse order of regular season standings and Stanley Cup playoff results. Now, from this point, if the first number drawn is assigned to one of the top 11 seeded teams, the club assigned this number will secure the right to the first overall selection in the 2026 EHE Entry Draft. If the winning club in the first draw is not among the top 11 seeds, its first round draft position will move up 10 slots, and the first overall selection in the 2026 EHE Entry Draft will go to the Anaheim Ducks. Both of these draft positions in this specific scenario will become locked in and will not be subject to change as a result of the second draw. All remaining teams whose draft position has not been determined and not locked in by virtue of the first draw will be reseeded for purposes of the second draw, reseeded in the same form of the percentages that you saw earlier. Now, the winning number and all numbers assigned to the winning club in the first draw will be designated as redraw numbers for the second draw. And we still have never had that happen, and I'm hoping we'll hold that pace here. But all numbers assigned to the other 15 clubs, including the Anaheim Ducks, if they do not win the first draw, will remain eligible for selection in the second draw. In the event that the Ducks have secured the first overall draft position as a result of the winning club not being among the top 11 seeds, and then the Ducks end up winning the second draw because their numbers are still live, the final draft order for the first round will be based on the reseeded draft order established after the first draw. This is the part of it's really wordy, so I apologize, folks. Otherwise, the winner of the second draw will move up a maximum of 10 slots to the highest draft position that has already been determined and locked in. I'll give an example to try and clear up that muddiness. Now, if the Red Wings win the first draw as the 14th seed, the first draw, they cannot move up more than 10 spots. This means that the Red Wings win the 4th overall pick, and that pick is locked in. But because of the Red Wings lottery win, Anaheim also wins the 1st overall pick because the Red Wings could not overtake their position. Thus, it is possible that the second draw can actually result in a higher winner than the first draw result. If the Ducks, whose numbers are still in play, then win the second draw, and there are no further changes to the draft order, they basically play spoiler for any other teams trying to move up in the second draw. Now, fortunately, John Butchergross is not here to make this all about him. He's currently podcasting with Frank Saravalli. So, just stay on your side of the country and all will be well, because you're not necessary, pal, in any regard. I do want to go from that little slam to just a moment to bring up. About 95 minutes ago, it was announced that Claude Lemieux passed away. A very, how do I want to say, a polarizing figure in the hockey world, but helped generate one of the greatest hockey riots. I meant to say rivalries, but riots is totally applicable here. uh, one of the best rivalries in NHL history, Stanley Cup history. And both of those teams involved in that, Colorado and Detroit, are involved in today's draft lottery, so that's appropriate. But best wishes to the Lemieux family, to his son Brendan. I believe he has another son, but whose name, unfortunately, I don't know. But my condolences to the Lemieux family, and my potential condolences to either Norway or Latvia, because what a ride both nations clubs have been on here in these world championships. But without further ado, let's begin. I'm gonna kind of get everything situated over here, and now we're going to find out which team draws first overall.
649.
649. Okay, so that is our first number. I will pull this up now. I'm going to just see here. Of course, it's at the bottom of that. Okay. All right. So we have one winner, of course. And now the second overall pick. Now, if that team, their number is selected, then there will be a redraw. 966, all the way to the end of the list. Okay. So 649 and 966, and good news, no redraws once again. And at this time, I am going to put the random number lookup chart back up on the screen while I lock in our results. And I've got it locked. And now okay, folks, it's time to view the results of the 2026 EHE Draft Lottery. And coming in at selection number 16, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, don't worry, Charles. This is the pick that the Maple Leafs acquired from the New Jersey Devils. So they did not drop from 3rd to 16th as a result of the draft lottery, because that would be some chaos, wouldn't it? We did have that one year where the Columbus Blue Jackets, the very first year where we introduced the rule about moving up 10 spots, and the Columbus Blue Jackets moved up from 16th to 6th, so that was some insanity. But no insanity here so far. The Toronto Maple Leafs, using the Devils pick, they traded Owen Power to the Devils in their own playoff push. The Maple Leafs select 16th. Now moving on to the 15th overall selection, and this one will be the Seattle Kraken. Now the Kraken owned the Colorado Avalanche first round pick coming into the lottery. And that was a trade from last year. The Ducks originally traded the 2025 first round pick, 9th overall, to the Avalanche for Radim Merk. Actually, I think I have that wrong, but that was actually traded to the Kraken. The Ducks ended up acquiring or drafting Radim Mertka, and the Kraken now have the 15th overall selection in this year's draft. They are also, we'll find out tonight if they can close out a sweep of the Dallas Stars. That would be a shocking turn of events, especially after the Kraken traded Brad Marchand earlier this year. So we'll find out for the Kraken, but they'll be 15th overall. That's what we do know. Now, what we also know is the 14th overall selection in this year's draft, and it's going to go to the Detroit Red Wings. So the Red Wings do not move up any positions like they did 2 years ago when they won the draft lottery and selected Macklin Celebrini. Now, the Red Wings have not made the playoffs in each of the past 4 seasons, so hopefully we won't be seeing the Red Wings next year with Celebrini at the helm with Draisaitl and others here. So a couple of big moves as well with franchise tags going on with the Red Wings and drafting 14th overall. Now the 13th overall selection in this year's draft belongs to the Philadelphia Flyers. This pick was acquired originally from the Los Angeles Kings as compensation for the offer sheet that the Kings submitted for Nico Hischier, and the Flyers did not match it, so they do own this year's first round pick, next year's first round pick, the first round pick after that, as well as some cash and I believe a third, if I'm not mistaken. So Nico Hischier is a King, and the Philadelphia Flyers hold the 14th overall pick. Or the 13th overall pick. It's even better for you, Tommy, here. And the Flyers, of course, are entrenched in a deadlock with the Columbus Blue Jackets as a result of last night's playoff results. So now moving on to number 12. Will this be the moment? That's the strange scenario I mentioned earlier. No, it is the Carolina Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes will be drafting 12th overall, and most of the season the Hurricanes were in that like 7-10 range, and then they got on a real hot streak to finish out the year. Actually, a lot of teams in this range got on hot streaks to finish out the season. I know the Red Wings, the Hurricanes, the Lightning, I think the Senators did as well. The Canucks. So yeah, everyone kind of kept winning, and so the Hurricanes improved their standing position, but not their draft position, and they will be 12th. Now at 11th overall, this year's pick will be the Colorado Avalanche. So even though they did trade their own first round pick, they did acquire Tampa Bay's first round pick. That had to do with the Alex Ovechkin trade going to the Columbus Blue Jackets after the Jackets had acquired this pick from the Lightning. It eventually ends up with the Colorado Avalanche, and they will select 11th overall. Moving on to the big Ty Dillinger 10th overall pick, and this year's 10th overall pick belongs to the Ottawa Senators, which means that we have movement once again in the EHE Draft Lottery. The Ottawa Senators will be taking the 10th overall pick. The Vancouver Canucks have moved up. So we were expecting to see a Canadian team here, but it is Eastern Canada, not Western Canada. So the Vancouver Canucks have moved into one of the top two positions in this year's draft. The Ottawa Senators, who have not made the playoffs since 2021, do not get luck here today. Did they previously win? Yes, they did win a lottery in 2023. However, they moved up, if I recall, from 6th to 2nd. So now we are moving on to the 9th overall pick in this year's draft. And at 9th, we have the Washington Capitals. So the Washington Capitals have an even longer streak of participating in the draft lottery, if you don't count the year that they forfeited a pick, but no playoffs since 2020 for the Capitals, and finishing near the bottom of the division yet again. It's time for the Capitals to get on their horse and make some changes, because I would love to see the Caps in a playoff spot next season. Right now, they will be drafting 9th overall. Now, y'all want to say it for me? It's the Snowman pick here. It's pick number 8. And this year, this really does look like a snowman with this font that the NHL used. So this year's 8th overall pick will be the Calgary Flames. So back to Western Canada again. And it is the Calgary Flames moving down one spot after the result we saw earlier. The Flames had made the playoffs for 3 straight years. So it's been a while since we've seen the Flames in the lottery. I'm a little surprised that we're seeing the Flames in the lottery here this year. But they will be drafting 8th overall. The 7th overall pick in this year's draft now will belong to the Utah Mammoth, the team that won the draft lottery last year. The Mammoth, they made a 27-point improvement from last year. That was good enough to get them into the 6th best odds this year, but they do fall one position. The Mammoth will draw 7th. And now the 6th overall pick in this year's draft belongs to the Edmonton Oilers. So the Oilers picked 5th last year, and they had the 5th best odds this year, but they also fall one position. Last year, with that 5th overall pick, the Oilers drafted Caleb Desnoyers. So now we're moving into the top 5. And this year's 5th overall selection will be the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we mentioned Canada earlier. We expected to see an original 6 team, or as Keith Olbermann calls them, the surviving 6 team. But it is not the New York Rangers. It is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs, who had the best odds, last year or a couple years ago? I don't even remember. They won a draft lottery a while back. That's what I meant to say. But this year they fall 2 positions. So I am sorry for their new GM, Charles Pepin. Been doing a fabulous job running the helm of the Leafs, taking over from the previous manager that had no idea what they were doing. But unfortunately for you, Charles, it is 5th overall, not 3rd overall. And now let's find out the top 4 here. So the 4th overall selection will be the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Chicago did move up a couple of years ago, 2023 to be exact. They moved up and drafted Connor Bedard, but this year they dropped 2 positions to 4th overall. That obviously means that another team has dropped 2 positions. At 3rd overall, it is the Anaheim Ducks. Unfortunately for you, Colin, which I know last year you won one of the draft lotteries. You got 2nd overall, but this year your fortune did not go to your side, and I'm sorry. You have dropped to 3rd overall. 43 points, the 3rd fewest ever in an 82-game season, and now dropping 2 positions. So we know which teams it will be. It's either going to be, as we saw earlier, the Vancouver Canucks moved up from 10th, and the New York Rangers moved up from 4th. Which one of those teams will it be? Here at 2nd overall, it is the New York Rangers. So a team that went to the Lemieux Conference Finals last season and then just decided to trade everything off except for their own 1st round pick. And this year, that pick will be the 2nd overall selection. That is some insanity. And that means even more insanity because the 1st overall pick in this year's EHE Entry Draft belongs to the Vancouver Canucks, moving up from 10th to 1st. There wasn't 1 involved. Take out that 0. A 0's a placeholder anyway. You, Marc-Andre Doré, you will be drafting 1st overall in this year's EHE Draft Lottery. So that is, in the draft. You won't draft in the lottery because you've already won it. So, wow. Once again, a shake-up to the lottery board. Losing isn't everything. But if you lose in the right ways, you can win big time. And I am still trying to figure that out. I need to stop it with these hot streaks to end the season when I don't make the playoffs. 3 years out of 4. And I have no lottery wins. But Marc-Andre Doré, the Vancouver Canucks, have won the 1st overall selection. So that is going to do it. So thanks for joining me. And I'll be in Iceland tomorrow. I would have loved to have done this in Iceland, but I had no idea the setup. This is a much easier way of doing it. So we'll see you for the rest of the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs. And then this August, looking like August 16th, it'll be the 2026 EHE Draft.